Hello friends, welcome to episode 124 of the Shauna Stitches Podcast. I'm Shauna and this is my crafty channel where I talk about all the things that I've been working on lately. Today is January 11th, 2026. I cannot believe we are already 11 days into the new year. I don't know where the time's going. It already needs to slow down. Just a note on the last episode, I was wearing the same microphone that I'm wearing today. I'm not sure if I didn't lose connection though. Like right now it's showing it's connected. I did a test. Audio sounds good. But when I was editing last time, the volume was very low. I even amplified the volume some and I got some feedback that it was quiet anyway. So I'm going to give it another try. If I notice it's quiet again during editing, I will amplify it a bit more. The problem with that sometimes is if you amplify it a bunch, it can get distorted. So I'll try and figure that out. If this doesn't work, I'm going to try and get a different microphone. There's one that I've been seeing. It's Holly something, and it's the Lark M2. It's been recommended by a lot of different podcasters. I see them wearing it, and their audio seems good. It is a spendy piece of equipment, but I will upgrade to that if I need to. That is the introductions. Before I get into any of the crafty stuff or other things we have to talk about, if you look right down below in the About section, you can find all the places where you can find me. That is Instagram, Ravelry. There will be a specific link to a Ravelry project page if I talk about it today. But if you go over there, I do make a page for pretty much every project I've ever made. Some of those have better notes than others, but if for some reason you can't find what you're looking for, let me know and I will either point you in the right direction or answer the question. There's also my email address, an Ask Me Anything thread, and my Goodreads link. So if any of that is of interest to you, please go check it out. Real quick, what I'm wearing today, which honestly on the screen I'm looking at just looks like a big dark blob. But this is the Triple Dutch Cardigan by Mina of the Knitting Expat. I started this as a test knit June 30th of 2018 and I finished it August 8th of 2018. I do remember I made the deadline, but I don't know what it was. So if you can see, you can see there's some cabling, and then the true, good part of this, or the fancy part, is the back. And I'm not sure, can you see that? There's cabling that runs all down the center back. So if you couldn't see that, I will put in a picture, but I really like this. I knit this out of wool of the Andes worsted in the color Onyx Heather. And I think I'm definitely in my cardigan era right now because, as you will see, not only the project that I have on the needles, but the project I'm planning, both cardigans, which is so unusual for me. I'm almost always knitting pullovers or tees or something like that. But I am liking the cardigans. I don't really know why. I'm not like a big take it on, put it off kind of person. Like once I'm wearing something, it pretty much stays on my body. But I am liking it. So if you have any cardigan recommendations or want to tell me what your favorite cardigan is, I would love to hear about it. All right, let's talk about the winners for the giveaway that I announced on the last episode. If you will remember, I had listed or mentioned both a prize, like physical prize, and a pattern prize. The physical prize, I'm grabbing here. Oh, well darn. It just fell out of the bag, but it is this project bag with a cute little sheep on it. This special skein of Blue Moon Fiber Arts Socks That Rock in the color Bruce's Candy Kitchen. This is a special color that you can only get at Coastal Yarns in Cannon Beach, Oregon. That's where I'm from, Oregon. And this, yes, I said the color. And one of my favorite knitting tools, the sock ruler. So the winner of that physical prize, I did a random comment picker through like a YouTube picking thing, and I just put in the word celebration because that was the key word. I think we had 83 entries, which is awesome. Okay, so the winner, I will pop up on the screen. The winner is Lisa Martinez 6240, and she said, "It's always a celebration when I sit and knit with your podcast. Happy New Year, Shauna." And thank you so much, Lisa. I do appreciate that, and it always warms my heart to know that people actually enjoy watching, because you never really know, do you? But it is nice to hear it once in a while. So, Lisa, if you will, I assume your name is Lisa. If you will reach out to me through my email address, which is shaunastitchespodcast@gmail.com, and send me your mailing address, I will get that out to you as soon as I can. Now, for the pattern prize winner, this was for anyone who wasn't in the United States. So I had everyone who wanted to enter for that use the word pattern in their comment. And again, use the same randomized YouTube picker. And the winner of that, which I will still put on the screen, is Nelson Knitter. And that's Karen. She says, "Happy New Year, Shauna. May I ask, what is your favorite sock pattern? All the best for 2026. Happy knitting, Karen." So I did answer her back, but in case you are curious, my favorite sock pattern has to be the blueberry waffles, hands down. If you've not heard me talk about that pattern before, I've knit probably 20 pairs, and it is technically written for DK weight yarn. It's a free pattern, but I modify it to knit with fingering weight, no problem. I just use my normal sock stitch count and use the same pattern. It works. It's a 4-stitch repeat and a 4-row repeat. So very memorizable, and it makes for the best fitting socks ever. So Karen, if you will please get a hold of me, pick a pattern from Ravelry that is $10 or less US. Send me the pattern name, the link to my email address, shaunastitchespodcast@gmail.com, and I will gift that to you. Okay, so congratulations, winners. I do appreciate you guys commenting. I appreciate all the comments, the likes, yeah, all the things. I do appreciate it. So I have 0 finished objects this week, which is kind of why I was like doing the every 2 weeks podcast, and I still never or didn't always have a finished object, but more often. But it's been 11 days since my last episode. I just had the State of the Stash episode go up in between. So I got some good progress done. I just don't have any finished objects. That being said, let's talk about whips. My first whip is in my So Much Yarn, So Little Time bag. And this is my Stephen West Marled Magic Socks. I am doing them in tandem, so 2 at a time, but on 2 separate 9-inch circulars. I'm using a 3.25 millimeter needle, and this is fingering weight held double. So they are as matching as they can be. I am using my Advent leftovers from my Aberdeen Wool minis. And what I have left, I start knitting 1 sock from the outside strand, 1 sock from the inside strand, and then I just do the same number of rows and stitches. So even though the colors are a little bit different, they're mostly matching. If you watched my last episode, I had said I'd cast on for the 44 stitch sock, but thought that it was coming out a bit big. So I did go down to 40 stitches. I just reduced out 4 stitches. I'm sure there's somewhere in the pattern that you can see where I changed that, but it's not obviously noticeable. The other thing I said, I had said that this was a broken rib pattern, and that's true of the cuff. The cuff is a broken rib. However, the main part of the sock is actually seed stitch, which I think is coming out really beautiful. I have not tried it on again, but I think it's going to fit. It seems to have good stretch. And these, if you know, were my Stranger Things knitting. That's what I was knitting on while we were watching TV. And we finished all of the Stranger Things episodes. And oh my goodness, I'm not going to lie, I got a little teary at the end. It was good. I like the ending. A lot of people were saying that they don't think it's over, but I think the time period has passed for any surprise, we're not really done yet episodes. So I think it's done. I'm sure that the actors and actresses are ready to move on after 10 years. So it's probably time, but I really enjoyed it. I would definitely watch that series again. It'd be interesting to rewatch it, knowing what happens, and then kind of see if you're able to make any of those assumptions or guesses as to what happens in the future from those early episodes. Probably not, because do you think they even really had the story written out? Probably not. Alrighty. The next work in progress I have to show you is the one that I told you last week I was super excited about, or I guess 11 days ago. And that is my confectionery cardigan that I'm knitting out of my Mystery Mouse Christmas in the Castle Library Advent from last year. So this is a 12-day plus full skein Advent, and I have made a ton of progress. Let's see, can I show it to you decently here? It's actually looking like a cardigan. So there is the front, and then I will flip it around so you can see the back. So the last time I showed you, it was this panel. I was knitting on the first half, and I was to here. So right before that pale yellow stripe, there's the gold and then there's the yellow. So I was right before that. I went and sat down at my dining room table with my laptop to edit the episode, telling you how much I love this project. And I was drinking a cup of coffee. The coaster that I normally use, I actually used two, which it is what it is. That's just how I was doing things. And I had one that's like a tile. And then I have one that I actually got at the Grand Canyon, and it looks like a teeny tiny little rug, you know, like if you'd have a big rug in your house, but it's small. So I would stack them on top of each other because the tile is not absorbent, but the rug portion was, in case, you know, condensation. Not that you'd get that with coffee, but whatever. And I've had this happen before, but it never was so detrimental as what happened on New Year's Eve. But I was knitting away. I had just started the yellow stripe. I set my coffee down, not looking, and the coffee cup was kind of half on the tile, half off the tile, and enough so that it toppled over, spilled all over my dining room table, all over my laptop, all over my jeans, all over my cardigan that was sitting in my lap. Moment of panic. My husband was in our bedroom taking a nap, and all the curse words coming out of my mouth as I'm, you know, coffee's everywhere. I'm grabbing my project. I'm heading towards the laundry room so that I can get this under cold water immediately. And he comes out of the bedroom just like, what's going on? And so, you know, of course I told him, and, you know, of all the things, of course I'm wearing my lightest colored jeans that day. Just all the things that could have gone wrong went wrong. So I got this soaking and was just immediately so panicked because the coffee was not coming out. I sent out help, messages online, and got a message back from the dyer, Holly of Mystery Mouse. She told me to use Dawn dish soap because she said that's what she actually had washed the minis in after she dyed them. So I was taking Dawn dish soap and Power Scour, which is for washing raw fleece, and rubbing that straight onto these spots and then kind of like lightly agitating it together just to kind of, break it up or whatever. And then trying to let it sit in the cool water. But I am not patient because I just kept checking it. And yes, needless to say, I was really panicking because that's what is the hard thing about Advents specifically, more than just, yarn. Yes, yarn is special, but in Advent, you can't get that again. And a lot of yarn you can't either because it's limited time and that sort of thing. But I was just heartbroken thinking that I had ruined this. So after rinsing it, I always spin things in my washing machine to get the water out. So I did that and I laid it flat to dry. And while it was wet, you could still see some of the coffee. Even after it was dry, you could still see some of the coffee. But honestly, now that it's put together, I wonder if I can even find a spot to show you. There are some spots where, yeah, and I'm struggling to even find them. So it's fine. It's all, actually, here's a spot, I'm pretty sure. So do you see, yeah, it's hard to tell. Just this spot, it's a little bit darker than kind of the rest. But saving grace is that the reverse stockinette side is the front. So it kind of dampens down any visible spots anyway. And then just having speckles and different colors, it luckily, it's fine. Because the only reason I know that that's the half it happened to is because, do you see all this ramen looking ends here? I had woven these all in, hoping that this would be the back of the cardigan. And then once I 3-needle binded off the two sides together, I realized that that's the front. And it would have been okay, but I know that I will be much happier. So I went through and unwoven all those ends. If you hate weaving in ends, unweaving in ends is even worse. But anyway, so I did that. And once I get the bottom hem knit on, I will weave those into the back side of the hem, and I'll be much happier. Yesterday, I finished the first sleeve. And if you're familiar with this pattern, you'll know that the sleeve is intended to be probably about that long, maybe not even, maybe like that. And so it's kind of a half sleeve. And it's also very wide. And it's also supposed to be a solid color. But I had about half of each of my minis left over. So I decided to stripe those into the sleeves as well. So this green here is the day one. That's the end of the panel for the cardigan. And I picked up in the gray. You'll notice this is reverse stockinette. The sleeves are stockinette. So you can see where that changes. And so instead of doing green again here, I started with day 2. And it goes down to day 12. And then it also has right here. Sorry. That's day 12. This is the main color. So I have one stripe of the main color. And then at the cuff, I have color 1. So I really like that little cuff detail. I have very detailed notes in my project page about literally how much yarn I used for every stripe of this cardigan so far. So if that's useful to you at all, go take a look. The main reason I do that, I think it's helpful to other people and I like to know, but also I wasn't sure when I started this how much yarn I was going to have left. Now, granted, I am doing the size 1, but I've made several modifications. I modified this to be the length of the size 2, but the width of the size 1. So I am using a bit more yarn than someone who would just knit the straight size 1. For the sleeves, I continued doing the sleeve decreases. Actually, you can see them there. I did them in the same rate as what's written in the pattern. I just kept going. And then I tried to look at different patterns and projects that I've made, other patterns that I have in my library, of how many stitches to use for the cuff. And I had to have it where it was divisible by 6 because it uses a 3x3. So originally I was going to do 66 stitches. And why did I decide not to do that? I can't remember, but I ended up going down to 60. And so when I had finished my last stripe, I had 72 stitches. So I did a fairly rapid decrease right before the cuff where I reduced 12 stitches out. And then I have the cuff, which is kind of a looser cuff. I probably could have gone down, but it fits me fine. I have pictures of where I've tried it on because I can't try it on right now since I have started the second sleeve and it's on a 9-inch circular. I have done 2 of the colored stripes and I'm ready for the third, which will be that pink color. So I just really love this. I am so happy with how it's coming out. So happy that the coffee is not obvious. All the things. I'm just so excited to get this done. I still have a bit to do. Obviously, I have that second sleeve. There's, like I said, the hem that goes on the bottom, and then it's not really a button band per se, but there are a few rows that get knit from the bottom of the hem all the way around the top to the other bottom. I don't know, it's maybe like 6 rows or something. So yes, I am loving it. The yarn that I dyed for this is the gray, the light gray. All those light gray stripes you see are my hand-dyed yarn. The color that I've used for most of this is this skein here. And this one I'm using for the sleeves. But I was concerned that the second skein was more variegated. And honestly, I think it looked more so in like the actual like hank skein versus when I cake it up, it's not so bad. But I did switch to that second ball for the cuff. So maybe you can see a bit more variation there, but I don't think it's too noticeable, and certainly like wearing it, it's not noticeable at all. So I just plan on using this for all of the cuff portions, so the bottom hem, the other sleeve cuff, and probably that button band area too, because I will have almost used up all of the first skein. When I finish that second sleeve, I'll have a little bit left, and then I have plenty of this one left. Still over 100 grams. This thing was 115 grams. Actually, both of them started 115, so a little bit extra. That, I think, is all I have to say about this, other than I love it. I am super excited to get it done, and I just love this. I still think I would probably knit another one in another advent. The only drawback that I have found so far to that pattern is the amount of ends. Like, holy cow, I'm going to be probably spending an entire day off weaving in ends is how I feel, especially when I had to unweave in ends. That's, yeah, backwards progress. All right, the third and final work in progress that saw any love in the last 11 days is in this fun Christmassy bag this is from a Charming You advent. I couldn't tell you what year, but the bag is made by Button and Boo. And in here, I have a project that does not get worked on very often. This is what I call my cinema cowl. This is cinema cowl number 2 because I have already completed 1. And that is what it's looking like. So kind of crazy. Do you see this white mark there? I pulled through the provisional cast on because I did not have a progress keeper with me, but I wanted to show how much progress I made while we went and watched a movie. The movie that we saw was The Housemaid by, well, the book is by Frida McFadden. And let's see here. Yep, there it is. So there is our ticket stub. We went on January 1st. And yeah, we liked the movie. However, we'd read the book. And so I think the movie would have been better if I wouldn't have known the backstory as I'm watching it, because the whole time I'm like, okay, this guy has everyone fooled, but I'm not fooled because I already know what's going to happen. And I won't spoil it for you, but it was a decent movie. It's so funny because I found in my bag the other movie stub. So I've watched 2 movies while working on this cowl. The first one was Beetlejuice, and that was, we saw it September 14th of 2024, which is the day I started this, I'm pretty sure. Yep, September 14th, 2024. So, yeah, I didn't work on it for a whole entire year. So this is a project that is not going to be done anytime soon. So hopefully I will remember to put a progress keeper in here, because this is not going to get me much further. But yes, you can always use a scrap of yarn, if you didn't know that, to mark a row or a spot. The yarn that I'm using for this is some stash that I got when a local yarn store was closing down. I don't know, I'm going to say probably 12, 11 years ago. It's been a long time. But this is called Naked Sock by Wisdom Yarns. This is before I knew anything about yarn, anything about sock yarn. I wasn't even a knitter yet. I had wanted to be a knitter. And so I bought this probably for half of what the price tag says, which is $8.50. I have 2 of them. And this is 93% acrylic, 7% PBT. I'm not sure what that is, but this is kind of like a stretchy yarn. So I think it's probably some kind of elastic. And each skein is 470 yards. So the Cinema Cowl, the first one I made, was in similar yarns, acrylic sock yarns that I had bought from the same place that I'm never going to use for socks. Never, ever, ever try to cake these up on a ball winder. Ask me how I know. I have some that I just literally threw away because I tried to cake them up and they would just get so tangled. Normally, I will sit there and untangle things. It was not even possible. So I just knit them straight from the ball. I doubt this is still available, but it is color Sweetly. So my first Cinema Cowl, I used 2 skeins, different colors. So it was half and half. This one will be the same color back to back. So extra long, big pink cowl. And it doesn't go this way. It'll go this way. So I've literally done almost nothing. But it is great for the movies because it is just stockinette. I don't have to worry about it being too long or measuring or anything like that. It is the perfect movie knitting. And obviously, I don't care how long it takes me to get done. I did have a thought. I don't really like going to the movies anymore, and I'm not sure why. I just don't love movies like I maybe used to. But when we were at the cinema for The Housemaid, I kind of thought I probably should go to a few more movies, especially if I ever want to get that done. But I know my husband enjoys going, so I should probably just suck it up and go. All right, that is everything that saw progress during the last 11 days. But I do have some plans to talk to you about. So if you have not heard, Zanette Knits, who has done the 2 previous years in a row of a mystery yoke along, she just announced that she is going to have the 3rd yoke along, which I was hoping was going to be called Do You Yoke 3, because the first ones was Do You Yoke and Do You Yoke 2, but it's actually called Ruju. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's spelled Rujuu. And so she's doing this time a worsted weight yarn. So it's meant to be a stash buster. I did not think I was going to have enough worsted weight in my stash because I really almost never knit with worsted, but I think I managed to pull it off. I've picked colors. Whether or not they change, I don't know, but right now I have colors. And that is starting January 16th, so Friday, just a short week away. And my friend Neil and I have actually started a new podcast. Don't worry, this one's not going away. This content will stay the same. I will still do my videos where I'm following along with the mystery. But our new channel is called Mystery Knitalong. And we're going to sit down and each week we will film our thoughts about the pattern, how it's going for us, any kind of tips or tricks or difficult areas that we came to. But yes, we both decided to do the cardigan version this year, which will be fun. It's going to be a steeked cardigan. I have done that before, not for this one actually, but I knit a acrylic baby cardigan, the Antler cardigan by Tin Can Knits, and I steeked that. And then my husband's Gramps cardigan, also by Tin Can Knits, I inserted a steek column in that. So it'll be very interesting to do this for the first time where it's actually intended to be steeked, because both of the ones that I've done, I just made it up on my own, which is good. I figured it out, but it'll be nice to have that guidance and to see, I guess, technically how it's really supposed to be done. So if you would like to come join us, I have a link down below. The channel is called Mystery Knitalong, and we are focusing on the Ruju first, but for sure we know that we're going to knit along with Steven's Mystery Sock MCal and the Shawl MCal. Now we may do some others throughout the year, but there also may be gaps of time where we don't record. So if mystery knit-alongs are your thing and you either like to have the camaraderie of someone else knitting with you, or you just like to watch the process, go check that out. And like I said, I'm still going to have my process videos here, so you can get double the mystery fun. What else? Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, I have links in my show notes to several stash busting mals going on, and I'm sure that there are even more than what I have listed down below, but I'm going to tell you about the ones that I'm aware of right at this moment. I'm so happy to see that 2026, there are a lot of people who are in similar situations that I am, where we are wanting to use the yarn that we own, stash bust, and make a dent in our stash. So obviously you guys know I have my State of the Stash series where I've been working on this for a few years. Well, let me tell you how motivating it is to have other people also working towards those same or similar goals. It makes all the difference. So I'm super excited. These are all groups that are on Ravelry, but I think, yes, I know all of these people also have YouTube channels. So I only listed the links to their Ravelry groups, but from there you should be able to find their YouTube channels as well. And actually, I will mention the names of them if I can remember. So the first one, these are not in any particular order. It's just the way they showed up in my Ravelry. The first one is Pearls of Parmadice, Giant Mini Mal. And so this one isn't exactly just stash busting, but it is focused on using your minis. So advents, leftovers, anything. You can do an entire, say, sweater and only use a mini for like the color work or something, and it counts towards this giant mini mal. So obviously my cardigan that I'm making is going to go for that. And spoiler, my Ruju is going to go for that because I have some leftovers. The next one is actually kind of a joint venture between Bobblehead Knits and Diary of a Sweater Knitter. They have the best name ever for a stash busting mal. It's called the Yarn Stash Smash Mal. They both have separate groups, separate threads where you can enter independently of one another. They said you can double dip, triple dip, whatever. And that is just any project that you make out of your stash you can enter. So that one is quite open. And the last one I have to mention is by Carla Knits, and that is the Love Your Stash Mal. So again, anything that you make out of stash, both of those or all of those groups have a chatter thread, an FO thread, or a joint chatter FO thread. So go check those out. I'm super excited that people are hosting these make-alongs to use stash, and hopefully if that's something that you are needing motivation towards, then those will help you out too. Okay, last I think is, well, actually not technically last. We'll do books and then life stuff. The books that I finished reading since I last talked to you, I finished Crown Tide, which is Light Lark Book 4 by Alex Astor. Oh my gosh, you guys, I forget what day it was. It might have been New Year's. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't write down the day I finished it. Actually, it was New Year's. I just was reading so much that day, other than going to the movies, obviously. And I got to the end, not knowing it was like the final page, because I read on my Kindle. So even though you can see like a percentage, you don't always know like it's the final page. So I'm reading and it's a cliffhanger, and I'm just dying to know what's happening on the next page. Come to find out that was it. We don't know what happens. And there is no set date for the next book to come out. So I'm a little bit heartbroken. I'm ready to find out what's going to happen. So needless to say, there will be a book 5, but I don't know when it's coming out. I gave Crown Tide 4.5 stars. There were some kind of lulls, some parts that weren't as action-packed, but then other parts were super action-packed. So I really liked that one. The other one that I finished literally in 2 days, was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. And if you have watched some of my other episodes, I can't remember which one, but you'll know that I read Just for the Summer, also by Abby Jimenez. And I have found I really like her writing style. I've only read those two. Both are very similar premises. So relationships, long distance, trying to make it work, and I don't know. I'm not sure how else to explain it. It's kind of like a romance, I guess, but it's not the kind of romance that I just can't stand, where it's like all focused on the romance and kind of nothing else. So I really enjoy her writing. I'm curious to see if she can do other plots, because like I said, these were both similar. Differences, but similar. I gave it 4.5 stars. I am excited to read more books by her, because I think she's a really good writer. The book that I am reading currently is called Case Histories by Kate Atkinson. This book was recommended to me, unfortunately, off the top of my head. I can't remember who recommended it, but it was someone here on this channel. So thank you for that. It came available from my library. The problem is I got one of those skip ahead, and so I only had a week, and I'm maybe 30-ish% into it, and today it's supposed to go back, but it's not supposed to have a very long hold, so I should lose it for a little bit, but get it back pretty soon. I will say, it started out slow, but I think I'm getting to the good part now, so I'm excited to keep reading. The book I'm listening to while I drive to and from work is called Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. That was recommended by my friend Anna, so thank you for that. Just a warning, I'm probably about 30% to that one as well, and the warning is it has some very difficult content. We'll put it that way. If for some reason certain things you choose not to read, maybe read a synopsis or a summary or a trigger warning list from Goodreads or wherever you look at books before you dive in, because it does have some heavy stuff in it. So I'm enjoying it though, whatever that says about me. So I think that's it, other than just life stuff. It's been the life. I had, I don't know, 12 or so days off of work, and that was so nice. I went back to work on January 5th, and needless to say, I definitely enjoyed my time off. I was not quite ready to go back, but I made it through the week last week, and work's been fairly busy. So I'm very much looking forward to the mystery knit-along coming up. I'm looking forward to finishing my cardigan. And what else? I really don't have a lot of life stuff. I really should. As the days go on, I should make a list, because when I sit down to record, I'm like, nothing happened. But I'm sure stuff did happen. But that's okay. You don't need to know every little thing, I suppose. But other than that, things are going good, and I'm getting ready to go back to work tomorrow, Monday, and nothing too major that I know of coming up this next week. I hope that you're having a wonderful day, that you are getting some knitting or crafting done, and that you are working towards your goals. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.